Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Kino, where we talk about movies and I tell Ryan why he's wrong. Ryan, wait a minute. That's not your usual room.
No. So this
If
week
you're
I've
watching the
moved out
video.
of I
If you're
moved out of my
watching.
old flat in Unite and into a 6-bedroom flat with my best friends, and we're having a great time. This isn't my room. It's just the Wi-Fi is really bad upstairs in my
So
room for the moment.
if you hear some boys ball tapping each other in the hallway, you know
Yeah,
who it is.
yeah, a pretty good idea. Yeah,
That's how I imagine your flat right now. Okay.
close
So
enough.
this
Yeah.
week, if you've seen the title, we're talking about Mistress America, which is a 2015 film directed by Noah Baumbach. It always messes me up that this was directed in 2015, that it came out in 2015. I always have the perception that this is a like 2011 movie for some reason.
Yeah, it seems a lot. Well, and that's part of the problem is that it seems a lot older than it is.
Ooh, okay. That's interesting. We'll get into that later. But I just, for some reason, in my chronology, in my head, I thought it was older than it was. I thought it came out around Frances Ha, and this was a couple of years later. And
Yeah.
it weirds me out that this came out after Gone Girl, because Lola Kirk's also in that.
Yep.
And I feel she's
Oh yeah.
her character is much younger in this, so that messes me up. That.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and I'm like,
oh wow,
this is post Gone Girl that this movie came out.
Yeah,
strange.
That's strange, actually. Yeah, that is.
Mm-hmm. So I think we should just get into the movie this week.
Yeah. Well, let's start with like initial thoughts.
Yeah. Initial thoughts. I love this movie. It's my favorite Noah Baumbach. It's not the best. I know the best is Marriage Story, but my personal favorite. This is my personal favorite. I think it's fantastic. I think it's maybe his funniest movie. It is his funniest movie. You've got some great performances. It's super charming overall, and it's so much fun. I love watching this movie.
I think that the movie is fine. To me it's a meh movie, because like the writing's really strong. The dialogue is by far the best part of the film. The acting is very good. But for me, I have a lot of issues with how like characters are portrayed, and to be honest, as a coming of age film, I feel like I missed the point. I don't know what aspect of coming of age this is trying to like reveal or portray, or what journey that the main character went on and some of that stuff. So for me, it didn't fully work. I found it intermittently funny. Some things I found to be very amusing. Other things I was just like, not really.
Pregnant women are super smart.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That set piece of like in the house of that glass house of Brooke's old friends. That is the funniest part of the film. From her
Mimi Claire, which is a fantastic name. Fantastic name.
Yeah,
even that's really funny.
She was really funny. The gag with like the pregnant woman whose husband would never show up was really funny, and like, that section of the film was definitely the funniest part. But we'll talk more about it later.
I think that's actually
issue with the film funny
as hell, but I think that's the weakest section of the movie. That the final bit in that house.
Yeah. Well, and we'll talk about it more in depth, specifically some of that stuff. But like my biggest issue with the film really is the characters, which is strange for me because I thought Marriage Story to me is like an infinitely better film, like so much so.
It is better. I prefer this one.
I'd rather rewatch Marriage Story than this.
Well, I've seen Marriage Story twice, and I've seen this twice now. Okay, so I've seen them both equal amounts of times. So if you were talking about characters, so we can get into characters a bit more.
Yeah.
Our lead, Tracy, portrayed by Lola Kirk. Best performance of the movie. People talk a lot about Greta Gerwig. She embodies this character so well as this awkward university student type role. And you really get the impression at the start of the film that Tracy thought college would be different than high school in terms of like social hierarchy and whatnot. And she'd be able to reinvent herself, but no, she's not able to.
See, and
she's disappointed by the college experience at first, and I find that whole aspect of it super interesting. Really enjoyed that.
For me, that's something actually that set up well, and I thought that was what the film's going to be about, is like a first year at university kind of film, because I've never
It was
seen
the first
that
semester.
Or like, right, I've never seen that in like film or TV, so I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting, like what that transition's really like. But it didn't feel like it did that, because for me, like, I guess my own personal experiences have colored like how I feel about the film, but I don't feel like my first year of university was at all like high school. I felt it was so different. So when she was making those comparisons, I was like, all right, not my experience, but fair enough. Where are you going to go with this?
That's my interpretation. She never says this is like high school. That's my interpretation.
It didn't really feel like it went anywhere, like with that storyline of like
the storyline
fitting in at university.
It's not just fitting in at university; it's fitting in with life at that point. And she's trying to find herself, and she's lost at university, but she's unable. She doesn't really have a character yet. She doesn't have a strong personality, really.
Mm-hmm.
She's awkward. She's like, 18? And so she latches onto this Brooke character who has such a strong personality. And she like leeches off that in positive and negative ways. Mostly negative by the end of the film. But it's her isolation when she gets to college is like she's so isolated at the start of college that she seeks out kind of a figure to look up to, and that's Brooke. The whole college stuff at the start is some of my favorite because the humor is so good, especially with the character Tony, who I texted you this earlier. Her friend Tony, he looks like the average,
the most pretentious college
student, like studying like the arts vaguely.
Yeah.
Like I know about 6 people who look exactly like him. The casting on that was pitch perfect.
The haircut and glasses reminded me of one kid in my film class as well.
So I have 4 different people in my class who I'm like, that's them. Easy.
So I really liked the opening, and actually I really liked how like the opening was cut together.
Yeah.
Because like the ellipsis of time showing like the different stages of her like settling in was like super efficient. It was funny, like it was entertaining. I enjoyed it.
You have her college roommate on the side always telling her to shush.
Which has a good comedic payoff later in the film.
By the way, with the way our university is, nobody shares a room.
No.
So just to me, seeing that it looks like a nightmare. Looks like absolute
it reminded me of how my sisters had to go through that, and just how grateful I am I didn't have to.
It sounds like a nightmare. And you get the introduction of the Mobius Society, which I'd like to say, art exclusivity and art exclusive clubs are absolute bullshit. And I like how this movie paints it that way.
Yeah, me too. I did really like, because I thought the film would be kind of like
douchebags.
I thought this film would be like a kind of pretentious like film, but at the beginning when it was like, those are pretentious douchebags, it's like, oh, it's not that kind of film, which I do appreciate about it. Because a lot of New York films are like that. Well, yeah, you know what I mean?
It's mumblecore, and to an extent, it is pretentious, but it's finding humor in the character's pretentiousness. And so, for example, you have characters being like, I shouldn't be driving out here. I should be at home reading Proust, and like, you're meant to take humor out of that. So it's poking fun at the post scene, which this movie was co-written by Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
And you can really tell if you've seen more Noah Baumbach films. This was the second film he co-wrote with her. And stylistically, this is probably the most Noah Baumbach he is in terms of his style, the witty intellect stuff. But thematically, this is not him at all, because he deals with stuff extremely personal to him. This doesn't feel as tailored to him. Like there's a reason you see divorce a lot in Noah Baumbach movies, and
I wonder. I wonder why.
You see, because his parents got divorced, and he got Jennifer Jason Leigh, all that stuff. So there's repeating patterns, and like when he was in his like mid to late 40s, he made a movie about being in your mid to late 40s, and this is a movie about being a college student. And that's definitely, I feel, the Greta Gerwig influence. And so
Yeah.
it's
Well, you
refreshing
can tell
almost
this.
to see a movie that like it wasn't 100% him, even though
Yeah. Well, and you can tell in the dialogue as well, because I felt at times the conversations had that kind of like rat-a-tat feeling as like Lady Bird did, and like
that some of the dialogue, some of the humor is a bit Lady Bird sometimes.
yeah. And while I do, again, I think Lady Bird is like a fantastic film and much better than this.
It is
You
better
could
than this.
clearly
Actually, yeah.
feel her. You could. Oh no.
No, it's just I've given them different ratings on Letterboxd. I gave this one
Okay.
a higher rating, even though that's a better film.
Yeah. Well, that's why ratings don't matter.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stop doing ratings eventually, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's more for like us than
But
it is for like
Lady Bird is
I
a better
enjoyed.
film.
Yeah, but like, that, I did enjoy that. Of like, you could tell it was like a nice melding of like their two visions coming together, and like that aspect again, I did enjoy, and a large parts of this film I did enjoy. But my issue with it, and you had a great response to this, because I texted you yesterday when I was telling you my brief thoughts on the film.
It was this
I was
morning,
like,
actually.
oh yeah, sorry then. My main issue is I was just like, I don't like any of the characters. Not just I don't relate to them, but I don't like them at all. So when you want me to sympathize with them, I don't. And you're just like, that's a no Baumbach film.
Yeah, no. Even in
And that was
Marriage
a great
Story, they're
point.
shitty people. They're shitty.
Oh yeah, at times they are both shitty to each other, 100%. But I felt like there was a warmth to that film that's not present here. And I really, in specific, want to talk about Brooke's character, because that was where the majority of my issues with the film really lie. Especially because a lot of the film is about her and what Tracy takes from her. And like the Tracy aspect of it, I do think is good. But my main issue is that they don't focus enough on the Tracy stuff, because when Brooke comes into the picture, it becomes all about Brooke. But because I didn't really care about Brooke, and I don't feel like she was characterized well enough, I just was like, it got to the end of the film and it was like, oh, we're back to Tracy. But like, so like, there was this huge gap where it was all about Brooke. So why do I care?
Brooke's characterization in this is absolutely pitch perfect, in my opinion.
I so disagree.
It's everything about her.
I so disagree.
She's unlikable for sure, but it's fun to watch her anyway. It's like it's like watching a car crash in slow motion. It's amazing.
Yeah,
her character.
I agree with that at times, and the best version of that is when like her, the kid that she used to bully in high school comes up to her, and like that conversation is like, that's an awkward but funny conversation where you're like, you're a shitty person, Brooke, but also like, this is kind of a fun scene to watch. But what I mean more so with that is like, go ahead.
In that same scene, you have that. It's earlier in the scene, I think. You have her like talking about some random bullshit, and then she brings up, "My mom died. I saw my mom die." Like, and then shows it off and it's like, "Oh my god."
That's another weird thing about the dialogue in this film is like, conversations will go on and then they'll stop, and then another conversation will start, and then the previous conversation will resolve itself, and then the other conversation will like resolve itself. So like it's got this weird flow to it, which I didn't dislike.
That's
but it was just something to
Gerwig's writing.
It is something just to kind of point out, is like, it is a very strange way of writing a film.
Also, that is partially how he writes, and she does that a little bit in Lady Bird as well. I have to say, this is Baumbach has made 2 or 3 films based around college, mainly 2, I think, and I've seen the other one, Kicking and Screaming, I think it's called, which he made
which you don't like.
Yeah, no, I hate that movie. He made it right after college, a couple of years, and it's about finishing college and like, what do you do after you've finished your master's or whatever. And the dialogue in that, it's the most annoying shit you've ever heard, and so it's refreshing to see. And also, he made a film about college, about finishing college right after he finished college, because Noah Baumbach only makes movies about like the part of his life he's in.
Right.
But that movie is so frustrating, so annoying, and the characters are so pretentious, but it's not played for humor like it is in Mistress America. It's played like, oh, these guys are intellectuals, and it's so goddamn annoying.
Yeah, see, if this film went down that path, then I would have disliked it so much more. But kind of returning to Brooke, my singular issue with it is that the whole time it's about her in this restaurant and her falling back on her feet, and how she just jumps to so many things in life because she can never commit to one thing. And the restaurant's supposed to be this one big like commitment push, trying to get there. But my problem is I never felt like that was that. I always felt like this was another thing she was just jumping onto.
Yeah,
Because
that's
the
the
film,
point. That's what happens.
Really?
Well, that's what happens at the end. She gives up
No,
on it.
because she doesn't give up on it. It's because everyone around her kind of kind of puts her down.
Yeah, but
like,
she could have.
Her
She could have
ex-boyfriend
tried.
doesn't really.
I
guess, but I felt the film was trying to portray it as like she's trying to get out of this rut to be an adult and all that, and this restaurant is the key. But I never understood why the restaurant was any different from anything else she was doing in her life. So I was like, I want to root for you, but I can't because I just see you doing the same thing as before. And then you get to the scene where, and this to me, this was I was basically, I wasn't shouting at the TV, but I was basically talking to it because I found it so infuriating. But the scene where they all read Tracy's story, and Brooke gets mad at her, and the rest of the room gets mad at her, and I literally said, I was like, why are you getting mad at someone for literally pointing out the truth? Like, why is everyone else ganging up on her?
Truth is
this
hurtful.
is infuriating to watch.
It is,
but it wasn't even that hurtful. Tracy's story was like,
she practically wrote that she was a car crash. Like, it was pretty mean.
I get that, but like the entire room, because the entire room, her ex, her friends, the people who've seen how destructive she is and dislike her for those reasons went, oh, you're on the wrong, Tracy, when like they all said the same thing to her like 10, 15 minutes ago. Why is everyone ganging up on her? It's not her. Like, she's just pointing out the obvious.
Well. That's part of the comedy as well.
The only part of that scene I found enjoyable, because I was so infuriated by it, was when they were like, will you represent me? And she's like, I'm a tax lawyer, but sure. I found that, I found that to be quite funny.
I have, dude, Brooke in this movie, she has so many goddamn hilarious quotes. Like,
she's funny.
I want a book of like Brooke's quotes. I want them to make this, it's like, quotes. I'm looking at the IMDb quotes section. There's no adultery when you're 18. You should all be touching each other all the time.
Yeah, I love that.
I'll probably end up doing something depressing but young. All this shit. Tracy says, your tragedy is your armor. Brooke, please somebody defend me against this monster. And Greta Gerwig perfectly sells all of these lines.
I think that's why for me I found this film to be so meh, because like the writing is good, and like and I think Greta Gerwig and what's the name of Tracy? What's the actress's name?
Laura Kirk.
Laura Kirk and Greta Gerwig are both fantastic. They both give great performances for different reasons. But there's something in the way that the characters are drawn out and the way the story progresses that I feel like the characters never developed or learned anything. And I never got behind them in the first place to like go on the journey with them. So I always felt like I wasn't a part of it. I was just watching it, And the thing is,
feels like our District 9 episode, but flipped.
I get, that's a great comparison.
Because I could not get behind any of the characters, and I couldn't give a shit about that movie.
Yeah, and that's how I feel here. Because you know what, there were times I wanted to. Like my absolute favorite scene in the film is when Brooke's having the conversation with her dad on the phone, and she's like, "You need to follow through. Someone has to follow through for once." And like the conversation about how it just wasn't meant to be for him, and like the fact that they aren't sisters and all that. It's just like that was a moment of like genuine emotion to come through that I felt the rest of the film lacked. And I also, like and yeah,
we both thought that Tracy's mom was played by what's Skylar's sister from Breaking Bad.
We can't remember her name even, can we?
I'll look it up, but
it's on the tip of my tongue.
I was sure of it, and I looked it up, and I was like, wait a minute, it's not her. By the way, another Brooke quote, I think I might actually go to college. I'm not an amputee.
I love that. But the thing is, like, I wish that, like, I don't know whether the film was longer or it got to the point quicker or it showed the aftermath. Because in the end, all I felt was like, okay, well, Brooke's the same, but she said she's going to go to college. But to me, that doesn't indicate change. That just indicates that she's just bored with whatever she's doing and wants to try something else. And Tracy hasn't learned anything about, what it is to be an adult and to live life and the experiences that come with that from a first year at university, because Brooke isn't someone to model your life after, and even she recognizes that.
Yeah, I know. It's
I
love
it was
movies
weird because
where characters follow false idols and then realize it.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I feel like Tracy doesn't take anything from the understanding that she relied on a false idol, because the film isn't it's interesting, and I guess it's interesting, but to me, I found it more strange of just, it's not a film about how to be an adult, but rather it's a film about how to not be an adult. Do you know what I mean by that? Like,
no, not
it's
exactly.
Like, it's like
Brooke is
look
an
at what
adult, but doesn't
at
act
how,
like an adult.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is Tracy's like, I'm trying to figure out like myself and life at university. Oh, here's like an adult who I think has it somewhat put together. I, as in like Tracy's perspective. But then over the course of the film, you realize that she's not a true adult. She doesn't have her shit together.
Yeah.
She's jumping from one thing to the next. So the film's
Tracy's not looking at Brooke because she thinks she's an adult. Not just that, she admires like how bold she is, like that she can get a VIP thing at a concert and go backstage and get on and have the bassist invite her onto the stage and just make out with a dude at an after show and live in an apartment she's not meant to be living in, like all this stuff. She admires how bold she is compared to a more timid Tracy. It's not the she recognizes very quickly that
but
she's not an actual adult, but she admires this like side of her and is fascinated by the side of her that's just the opposite of Tracy, the opposite of her.
Yeah, I agree with that to an extent, but I'll push back a little bit by mentioning how at the beginning Tracy is timid, but after she meets that guy, like the typical art student guy,
Tony,
and like Tony, and befriends him, then there's a brief montage of how like she's offering her opinions in class. She's telling her roommate what's what. She's being more active in her job. She's being more outward going.
And then what happens?
And then sees that Tony picks someone else over her.
Yeah, boom.
Which I guess is kind of the point. Yeah.
You just schooled yourself.
Yeah. No, but I don't
10
know.
10 out of 10 movie. You just realized it now.
Yeah, this isn't. What? Oh, that was 2001, where I had an epiphany halfway through.
You had a big epiphany.
That was actually a moment of pure clarity.
Yeah, that was really funny. Another movie that I like that like follows like it's a coming of age film where you follow like a false idol character is Big Time Adolescence, and in that movie Pete Davidson is a false idol.
I do really want to see that.
I do really want to see that. We can watch that when I move back to London.
Yes.
I have Hulu with a VPN. So
Hulu's had a good year so far.
Hulu's had a great year so far. Because they've had a couple good shows, I think, in partnership with FX, and they're buying up Palm Springs, Big Time Adolescence, all this good shit.
Yeah, no, they nailed it, especially with Palm Springs.
Palm Springs is a good movie.
It's more than a good movie.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. Otherwise, I have some notes. Let me check what I have to say on this movie. Also, at the start of the movie, Tracy falls asleep in a 12-person class, and it's like, it's bold to fall asleep in a 12-person class.
Yeah, that conversation I thought was good.
It is bold. I have fallen asleep in a 6-person class.
That's I don't know. I was
out in a 6-person class, and I still passed. This was in high school.
But that's what I mean. That intro, like up
that
until,
intro is really good. It's probably my favorite part of the movie. It's really good.
Yeah, no, it to me was absolutely. To me, it was absolutely one of like the best parts of the movie.
And the awkwardness of Greta Gerwig and Baumbach's writing really shines when depicting university students and to an extent high school students, which is what Gerwig did in Lady Bird. The more I'm realizing, the more I'm making connections between Gerwig's writing and this and Lady Bird, the more I realize the good stuff in this may just be more of her, maybe more her contribution.
Maybe so, but I feel like, and you've seen a lot more Noah Baumbach films than I have.
Yeah, I have. I've seen like
But
6 or 7, I think.
But to me, from Marriage Story, it felt
7.
like the moments. I don't know, because I feel like both Baumbach and Gerwig are possible, like have the ability to have like a great wit to their writing, as well as like they have moments of like genuine emotion. And to me, this whole film was just kind of the wit with like a little bit of like what the film's thematics and like emotional underpinnings really are. And I don't know, I just found that to be kind of off-putting, because I didn't my experience with like both of their films, again, I've only seen this one, my only second Baumbach film, but I've seen both Greta Gerwig films.
Yeah, you
my
have.
experience with that really has just been like, oh, they've got a great balance of both, and to me that balance felt really off in this film.
There is definitely less emotional stuff in this.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a decent and healthy mix of witty and emotions, I would watch the Merowitz stories, which is the one he made before Marriage Story. It's on Netflix. It is the Merowitz.
I've been wanting to see that.
New and selected.
The Meyerowitz stories.
Yeah, Meyerowitz, not Merowitz. Meyerowitz stories, new and selected. A lot of heart to it, if I remember correctly, but also it has some hilarious shit, and it also does poke fun at university students, specifically film students, and what they do with that is hilarious in that movie. It's very enjoyable.
Yeah. It's on Netflix, isn't it?
It's a Netflix original. Yeah, it's
okay.
a Netflix original.
I'll give that a watch then.
Great in that movie.
Yeah, he did look. See, the reason why I want to watch more Baumbach films is because it seems like he can use Ben Stiller in a way that is like very effective. I haven't seen
Greenberg yet, which is the other.
Well, yeah, but
While We're Young is also a lot of good. If you're fine with half of the movie being about the authenticity of documentary making and not about actually being old,
which I am actually okay with, considering like a class I did this past year was very much about that.
Also, the Meyerowitz story is also New York film about a family of intellectuals in the arts, and it's even more than Mistress America in terms of like poking fun. It has more pretentious stuff, but it pokes less fun at it, if I remember correctly. But it's not too much. But the father, played by Dustin Hoffman, is a sculptor, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It's like they're talking about all this sculpture shit, and about like, you were meant to be an artist. We're a family of artists. Blah blah blah. So yeah, and you know what? A lot of Baumbach movies deal with being an artist as well.
Yeah.
The Squid and the Whale, While We're Young, the Meyerowitz stories, Marriage Story to an extent, Mistress America, literature. Yeah, he has some unbelievably his patterns.
Yeah, Moses.
A lot. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Cut out briefly.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about. I was just saying how he has some patterns in his movies that like repeat all the time. And artistry is a huge thing in his movies. But
but
we didn't even
it didn't really come through in this one, does it?
Less so. It is about partially she is trying to get into this literature society, and she's a lit student. This is not at the forefront.
Yeah, that's true.
It's an element, but it's not at the forefront. Similar to Marriage Story, it's not at the forefront. It's in the background.
Yeah.
This movie, by the way, it wastes no time. The introduction happens immediately. There's no faffing about, and it's very short, which I enjoy a lot. Love a good movie that doesn't overstate its welcome.
Yeah. That is something I thought was strong, was the pacing. Like, it was on point, concise, well, like it was very strong in that way, 100%.
Going back to why Brooke's character is so well fleshed out, I literally forgot this bit. I was watching this for the second time, and I'm like, this character, she would totally be a Soul Cycle instructor. And bam, they cut to her being a Soul Cycle instructor. Because of course she would be a Soul Cycle instructor. That's exactly what she
Yeah, when that popped up, and I thought it was funny that Tracy got on and like like a flannel and jeans.
Yeah, flannel and
it's
jeans.
just the ridiculousness of that. But also you can like that was a nice character moment because it was just you can see just Tracy being so eager to be a part of Brooke's world.
Also,
which again is a strong suit.
For some reason, I really like the guy living under Brooke's apartment who lets them up through his fire escape.
Yeah.
For some reason,
that would have been. I would have liked more of him actually.
He came off as super likable. That actor.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find his.
Yeah, I would have liked a bit more of that, to be honest.
But he came off as super likable, and I'd just like to shout that out. Mamie Claire, hilarious name, great performance overall. All of that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And the awful weird marriage
that was great.
Between
yeah.
That whole thing is awful. That situation is unpleasant.
Yeah, and her whole pitch to them, I thought was very funny, very cleverly written.
Yeah.
Again, and that whole thing with like the smart pregnant women or even the dynamic between Tony and his girlfriend Colette.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. The dynamic between him and his girlfriend is so goddamn funny. But she is so paranoid that he's gonna cheat on her because of her.
So paranoid, and
it's immediately she's like, he's on the. They're both in bed and he's on the phone with Tracy and she's like, "What is this? Some kind of sex game? Or your balls or some shit?" Like, so paranoid.
That was good, and even when they were in the car, and after Brooke's comment of like, adultery doesn't exist when you're 18, like she reaches for like her like for Tony's hair and like kind of like caresses it, and he just freaks out and just screams at her, and just like that was also, I found that to be funny too.
She so good, but also she calls it. She says, "My last boyfriend committed adultery." Who says committed adultery?
I know. I genuinely thought that as well. And like the last time I heard that term was like in a film, it was like Goodfellas. I'm like, this isn't
like adultery.
This isn't a 1990s gangster film. Why is it adultery like that?
And Brooke points it out. Like, stop using these grammar terms. Like, committed adultery. That's so funny to me.
Yeah, I do love it.
On point. The performance was so good. It was pitch perfect for what it needed to be.
Yep.
No, and overall, her whole passive aggressiveness. It's just some kind of sex game. All of that, perfect. We haven't talked about this yet, but the score, in my opinion, is really good.
Yeah, the score is very good.
It has
score is very, very good.
One or two repetitive themes, these two tunes that they repeat a lot. That are, I think.
I didn't really pick up on that.
Like electronic, I think, or electronic piano or some shit like that. But I really like the score for this movie.
Me too.
A lot. It sticks out to me a lot. Otherwise, we can talk more about the second half of the film, where when they're at the house of her ex-boyfriend, her ex-fiance, I should say, to do the pitch. That whole bit is like, it leans into the comedy so hard at that point. It becomes like an almost slapstick routine because you have everyone running around the house introducing themselves to people who they haven't introduced themselves to before. Like you have when you have the ex-fiance who arrives and everyone's shaking their hand and is like, who's that? And then you have the neighbor who comes in who always hears them yelling. They're all running around the house, and like you said, you have the pregnant lady whose husband isn't picking her up, and you get the great line, "Holy shit, these pregnant women are super smart." Then they ask to join their book club.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
It's just so the absurdity of that is funny.
Like this crazy absurdist humor in the second half. It does almost underweigh the emotional beats that the second half should be hitting. I agree with you on that. By the way, did you notice that the one of the university professors was the social worker from Joker?
Hold on, you cut out there a bit, Moses.
One of Tracy's professors is the social worker and your favorite Kino Joker.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a great connection there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You had to be the one to make that connection. I know that hurts you down.
I had to look up. I had to look it up, but she seemed familiar. How dare you make me look that up? That's disgusting. I hate that. Also, I just made the connection. Whoa, that's weird. I only made this connection now.
Hold on. Come on, we're recording. Come on, get out. Come on. That's not on, guys. Come on. All right, you can keep going.
Told you you're going to hear ball tapping on the background of this episode.
Yes, it's exactly what it is. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
By the way, so I can't believe I just made this connection. Nicolette, the jealous girlfriend who we were just talking about, she's in Hamilton, and I just watched the Disney Plus Hamilton like the other week.
What a strange cast then.
Yeah, no, and she's also one of the people in the cast of the production in Marriage Story. She's a theater actor in that. But no, well, and I know she plays in Hamilton.
That's right.
But I did not make that connection. Also, she comes off as super young, and this movie came out the year I think Hamilton started, so that just weirds me out. But yeah, I don't have that much more to say about the movie. It's pretty short. I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
It's super charming to me. Like, I have a smile watching this movie. Like I think most of it comes from the humor and the performances. Yes, even though the emotional beats aren't as good as they should be, perhaps, I still think this movie absolutely slaps. It's hilarious to me. Like, everything about Brooke's character, everything about Tracy's character, it is pitch perfect. Yeah, Ryan.
See, for me, I can you hear me and see me okay?
You're I can see you okay.
There you are. Okay, yeah. It's stabilized there.
Yeah.
So it's not for me. It's not a film for me, I think, because I admit that it's well written and like small individual parts really work. I think it's funny. I think it's well acted. It's got some really enjoyable moments and scenes. But I think for me overall, it doesn't coalesce into a film that is leading anywhere. And its characterizations, specifically of Brooke, to me just feel redundant to the point where it just kind of it loses focus of what the film really could have been about and could have tackled. And I just kind of expected more narrative weight from Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, and I didn't get it. So
if you're looking for more narrative weight, Wildwood Young doesn't have that much narrative weight, I don't think.
No, I want to check out the Meyerowitz stories.
But Meyerowitz stories, I think, definitely has more narrative weight than this does.
Yeah, I think that will be
that one's thematic. Like tonally, that one's more on par with Marriage Story, definitely. There's also some heavy thematic stuff in The Squid and the Whale, which is another Noah Baumbach divorce movie, but from the perspective of the children. Also, pretentious parents in that one because they're artists, and it paints their pretentiousness as a character flaw, which is interesting.
Good. That's I can't
say the word.
Debilitating thing.
Yes, thank you. I'm so stupid.
There you go. Why we're good.
It's a that flaw. I need some water. Noah Baumbach. I'm just reading the trivia. You're gonna hate this. Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig compare this film to a John Hughes movie.
Oh,
I know you're gonna hate that.
Yeah, I do hate that.
I can see it.
I loathe that comment actually.
I saw a picture of you on Instagram and you were wearing your Save Ferris t-shirt.
Yeah, because it's I love that movie. But to me, like what John Hughes does well is they're kind of mess around kind of films, but they have a larger point about growing up in life that is essential to everybody. And to me, this film does not possess that in any way, shape, or form.
The point isn't as razor clear as it is in Ferris Bueller.
See, I don't think it's clear at all. In my opinion, I don't think there is a message to this
You
film.
literally have Ferris turn to the camera and pretty much say what it's about.
Oh yeah, sure,
Yeah.
but there are other aspects of it
Yeah.
that film I
Yeah.
think has more layers to it than that. Than that's just one famous quote
Also,
that he says to the camera.
Going back to what we were saying about this being more of a Greta Gerwig film in terms about thematically and whatnot, Lola Kirk's character Tracy attends Bernard College. Greta Gerwig attended Bernard College in real life. The hallway of the dorm in which Tracy stays in is the same hallway in which Greta Gerwig stayed in when she attended Bernard. So.
Really?
Yep. So that
I
was
do like that.
University. Also, I think.
Well,
she
clearly
did
they
study
take
literature.
inspiration from the real lives.
No, I told you, Noah Baumbach. It's like almost annoying at some points. How just like, okay, yeah, that happened in your life, so you made a movie about it. I get it. I some of them less so. My Wood Stories, I don't know how much of that is from his life. That one feels maybe a bit more original. But Marriage Story, while we're young to an extent, and then like The Squid and the Whale, it just feels so autobiographical. It's like, yeah, we get it. This is about you.
Yeah.
Then I see.
Well, and Marriage Story as well, very much.
Yeah,
feels like
I mentioned Marriage Story.
Yeah.
Also, for the longest time, and I may have even mentioned it on the podcast when we talked about it, I thought I didn't realize he was married. He was previously married to Jennifer Jason Leigh, and they were divorced. And
Yeah.
I first thought that this was a bizarre version of like what could happen with his marriage to Greta, his partnership with Greta Gerwig. It's like the whole actor dynamic, and Scarlett Johansson in that movie isn't too dissimilar looking from Greta Gerwig.
Well, but also the aspect of like she wants to go off and direct things. She just doesn't want to be an actress.
And so
yeah,
I felt
that's
like
a big part of that film.
At first I thought it was taking more inspiration from their relationship than his previous divorce, which apparently, it is about that Jennifer Jason Leigh divorce.
Yeah.
More so.
Especially the split between like New York and LA is very much like that the part of that
even
film.
That I thought was
and part of their relationship.
Greta Gerwig, because Greta Gerwig grew up in Sacramento, and so I thought the California element was also Greta Gerwig related, because Greta Gerwig is from Sacramento, like Lady Bird is from Sacramento. And so I thought Marriage Story was still about Greta Gerwig. So for the longest time, I did think it was about Greta Gerwig. Speaking of Marriage Story, the movie's out on Criterion right now. I need to get the Blu-ray of that. I sent you a picture. It comes with the 2 letters.
I do too. It is so cool.
Yeah,
that and Parasite. I want those 2
Criterion Blu-rays
from last year.
People have mixed thoughts on the cover for the Criterion cover of Parasite, because
I love it.
It's just the normal cover, but in a fold that has Morse code that spells out Parasite.
Which I think is sick, especially because the Morse code's a part of the film.
Yeah, no, of course. That's why they did it. But the Parasite cover is so iconic at this point that I don't mind them using it as the Criterion edition of the film. But no, Marriage Story. Also, the poster isn't too inspired, but I enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, I did. I did too. What I liked for the Marriage Story thing is for the Criterion is what you told me, which is the letters.
Yeah,
they have
the
those
letters are in the cover.
That is such an enticing, like, you've got my money, I'm buying it.
That's how my Rushmore Criterion has a map of the Rushmore campus with all a bunch of Easter eggs.
Rushmore. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah, no, I love all
that.
the details.
I need to get more into Criterion buying like you.
Well,
it's been really good.
Your Blu-ray player is region locked to the US. Am I correct? Because you have an Xbox from the US.
Yeah, but if I don't go back to Christmas for America, I'll get a PS5 from here, which means Well, actually, I don't know. I need to decide on that. But even so, even when I'm in America, I'm just going to start buying them.
Yeah.
That depends on like future plans.
Also, some Blu-ray are like all region unlocked, so that's interesting. Some of mine are like that.
Yeah.
And it's also maybe worth investing in a universal Blu-ray player where nothing is region locked.
Yeah, that I'm looking into a region-free DVD Blu-ray
Wait,
player.
didn't you tell me, this is completely off topic from the podcast, but your
I know.
parents have one. Your parents have
Yeah,
one.
and I was gonna go get it when I was supposed to see them in
Yeah.
Paris in early March before Corona, and then now they're in Texas. So
Yeah.
the way the world works, you know.
So yeah, this is a shorter episode because the movie is shorter. But after last week's Behemoth, you could tell at the end of last week's episode, I was slipping up so much and I was so tired.
Yeah, no, we're the next few episodes are gonna be like nicely concise, nicely pared down.
A tight hour. So to about this.
Next week we are doing
on this movie. It's good.
I think it's fine. Kind of whatever. I expected more from these writers and directors, but you know, can't win them all.
This episode was also an introduction to Ryan's new life as a member of Animal House.
Yes, as part of a frat. Yeah, basically.
No, I take that back because Animal House, I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of rape shit in that. So, 80.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Yeah, let's just put.
It's like how every 80s like teen comedy was like all rape based. Also, apparently, Revenge of the Nerds, super rapey.
Yeah.
All of those. Even John Hughes, 16 Candles.
We're staying clear of those.
Very rapey. So no, you got to hear.
And we're staying clear of that one as well.
Yeah. So you can. So maybe if you listen back to this episode, you can hear some light ball tapping in the background.
Just a little.
Ow.
Yeah, just a little. Ow.
Have a good week, everyone. Next week, what are we talking about, Ryan?
Next week we're talking about Boyhood. Richard Linklater's Boyhood.
Yeah.
So tune in for that. It was an Oscar nominee. Should be an exciting topic of conversation.
Seen it before. I'm interested.
I've seen it once. I thought it was an okay film. Even though I love coming of age films, I thought it was very okay.
To come out of it. I'm expecting. The whole setup is cool with them filming it over the years, but I'm also expecting to.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what a rewatch will do since I haven't seen it in like 5 or 6 years or whenever it came out.
2014.
2014, so 6 years. So I'm hoping to enjoy it the second time around, but we shall see. Yeah, I think it was 2014. I was living in Cleveland when it came out, so 2014 or 15.
2014, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure I watched the Oscars, the 2015 Oscars, where it was nominated live that year.
I remember when that was a front runner for Best Picture to win, and I was like, no, like absolutely not. But
Birdman won then.
Yeah, even a bigger mistake in my opinion. But Birdman's and the definition of a.
We almost talked about
film.
Birdman instead of Boyhood.
Yeah, but I figured Boyhood would have been a better conversation because you and I have a lot more attached to the coming of age genre.
Also,
so
isn't
I feel
that movie like 4 hours
our critiques will be more. Oh, what Boyhood?
Yeah.
2:45.
Oh God, Ryan, what are you doing to me?
Yeah.
I gave you an hour and 28-minute movie, and you're giving me 2 hours and 40.
But I feel like we'll have a better conversation about it because the things we don't like about it will be like you and I are very well versed in the coming of age genre. So if something doesn't work, we'll very well able to be like, this is why this film just doesn't work as a whole. But yeah, we're tuning into that next week. So Moses, where can people find us?
Our email is thegoodthebadandthekino@gmail.com. You can find Ryan in the sewer after I murder him for disliking this movie. You can find Ryan at his address, which I'll read out right now. His new address, which I'll dox him for.
Yikes.
Our Letterboxd accounts are linked in the description below. And otherwise, this was the boys talking about Mistress America.
Yeah.
The Kino
Thanks, guys,
boys.
for
the Kino.
Yeah,
lads.
the Kino. That's what I was gonna say.
Aww.
So cute.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Thanks, guys,
Thanks for listening. Tune in next for Boyhood.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna have some fun episodes coming along very soon.
Yes, we are. Some really different, interesting episodes. I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to recording some of these.
Yeah, me too.
Stay Kino, everybody.
Yeah, stay Kino, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Keep it Kino.